to my channel. Today I'm going to take part in the St. Patrick's Day doll tag hosted by Evergreen Dolls, and I'll leave a link in the description box below. I actually decided to do it after seeing Gaela's video, Gaela's La La Land, and she encouraged me to do it, so here I am about to take part. My answers might be slightly different to what other people do, but we all have different collections, and mine is certainly eclectic. Right, so where do I start? There's 7 questions to answer. I've never done one of these tags before that I can remember. And the first one is, number 1 is lucky and blessed. What doll or dolls were you really lucky to have snagged for your collection? Right, well I think I'm going to come in a little bit closer so that I can actually reach them, and I'll sort of have to do it kind of top down, I guess. So I'm going to move in closer now and I'll be back with you. Now I've probably got more here than most people would imagine, but I just thought I'd explain why I feel lucky to have snagged them for my collection. So this is Gigi or Gigi or Gigi from Ruby Red Galleria, and I just found her purely by chance when I was looking for a completely different doll. So she joined me probably a couple of years ago now, probably 3 years ago actually, and yeah, so I feel very lucky to have found her because I wasn't actually looking for her. And although I don't do a lot with her, I like her posability. She holds poses really well, and I should probably do more with her. She'd be an ideal travel companion because she's a really good size. But of course, I tend to take Ren most places now. So that's Gigi. Of course, I did explain why I was lucky to snag this one, because I won her on eBay and then the seller cancelled the auction. But fortunately, she ended up honouring my purchase and she arrived. So I think I was very lucky to get her actually. I think she's going to be called Robin, but I'm not sure. I'm also thinking of Lynette or Linnet after the bird. And then we've got Hetty Moana. Now she was carved by Bruce Hicks of Bruce and Fung Hicks, and she was dressed by Fung. And I feel really lucky to have her in my collection because she's actually carved from Kauri, New Zealand Kauri. And yeah, her name's Hetty Moana Kauri. So I do think I'm very lucky. I don't think I'd ever be able to get any more Hetty dolls from overseas because the cost of postage now is just so ludicrous. But yeah, so that's Hetty Moana. I'm including my Kiwi Cindy in this because I found her very unexpectedly in New Zealand in a charity shop when we basically got a bit stranded overnight in a not particularly nice town, in a very noisy hotel, and I was pretty upset at the time. I found her in a charity shop and she cleaned up so beautifully, and yeah, I was pleased to have a sort of a New Zealand Cindy to add to my collection, because my Cindy got given away when I was a teenager, not by me. But there we go, so that's Kiwi Cindy. And then the other 2 dolls I've got, and I think I was probably lucky to snag these because they're quite unusual. They're 2 wooden elderly dolls. I have no idea who made them. They didn't have any maker's marks on them. They're made out of wood. They're actually, their knees are jointed so they can sit. Oops, sorry. So yeah, their knees are jointed, they can sit, and I just think they're quite characterful. So I feel quite lucky to have snagged these for my collection because I've never seen anything like these guys before. So that is my answer to question 1. Right, the next number 2 is your pot of gold. Which doll is worth more than gold to you and why? And oh, that's quite hard actually because I've got several dolls, but I think it would probably have to be my dear Henry. He used to feature in blog stories all the time. I've taken him to many different countries. He's my travel companion. He's been to lots of National Trust and English heritage properties. I've published several photo stories of him and his adventures, and yeah, so it's probably him. I guess the only reason he doesn't do so much now is because he lost his hair and I had to have him rerouted, and I almost wish I hadn't. I almost wish I'd left him going bald because he just feels different to me now. Here's the same doll, and I'm probably making more of it than I need to, but he just doesn't feel quite like Henry anymore. The hairstyle's different because obviously it's not the original rooting pattern from when he left the factory. But yeah, I wouldn't be without him. He has gone on many adventures with me, and to lots of different places around the world. And he has his own blog and Facebook page, Holidays with Henry and Henry Holiday. So yeah, and he's actually had Gregor and Sasha dolls come to stay with him, and I've blogged about their adventures and their little antics that they did when they came on to stay on holiday with Henry. So that's why it was called Holidays with Henry. So that's Henry, and he is my pot of gold. Number 3 is Lucky Charm. If you could take a doll around with you everywhere, which one would it be? Well, obviously I used to take Henry absolutely everywhere with me. He's got a special carry bag that he kind of sits in, and I can take him out easily. It goes over my shoulder, and I've probably featured that before. It's certainly on the blog. So yeah, he is my main travelling companion. I also always used to take Hitty Madge with me. She's my Hitty doll that I carved myself, and she was the first one I ever carved, and she's been, I think, pretty much everywhere that Henry's been. So she tucks in the bag. She's an ideal travel doll. She hasn't been out with me much of late. She always used to be in my bag. Didn't matter whether I took her out or, you know, took her out to take photographs or not. She was always there. I guess I just haven't taken any dolls out for a while. I don't know why. It's just, yeah, just the way it is. So that's Hitty Madge. So those two were always a pair. I've also had various little dolls I've taken to places with me. I've had Madeline, and my Instagram page is named after her. That's what I set it up initially, Rose Cottage Madeline. And she featured in the first lot of my photos on Instagram. I don't take her out anywhere now, really, but she filled a spot when I needed a very happy, smiley doll. My little Nancy Ann, she's been in lots of places as well, but unfortunately her last trip resulted in her arm falling off, and it wasn't strung, so it had to, it was kind of almost like jointed, and so it had to be stuck in rigidly, unfortunately. So I don't take her out really anymore because she's too fragile, and I don't want her to get broken anymore. So that's Nancy's story. Little Miss, my childhood perfecta doll, has been with me a few times, so she's been a travelling companion, and she used to tend to go when I took Nancy because they're a similar size, but she hasn't been that many places, but she did go to New Zealand with me. Of course, everybody knows Ren. Ren has really taken over the travelling side of things because she's very lightweight. She's easy to stick in a smaller bag. She's very poseable and relatively durable. So Ren has been my main travelling companion for probably the last couple of years. And then lastly is my dear Peggy Sue, who of course has also travelled with me. She's been to America and New Zealand. Just trying to think, she's been anywhere else, obviously around England, and yeah, she's pretty special too, but she is quite heavy, so I don't tend to take her out so much anymore. It was getting a little bit much for my arms. So that is the first 3 questions. Number 4, and there's a bit of a tie over here. So number 4 is 4-leaf clover. Name your top 4 favourite dolls and their company's artist. Okay, so my top 4 favourite dolls are, of course, the Sasha dolls, Sasha or Gregor dolls, and the company was Trendon or Gots. And then Show and Hut is another one. And although she's not an original by any means, she's had a bit of a hard life, but she's still very much loved. So she's a Show and Hut doll, and I just love the jointing and articulation on these wooden dolls. They are so poseable. They're so, you know, their legs bend. They can sit with their legs to the side. They are amazing construction, and they are my top dolls for sure. Of course, Makeys. Can't go without my Makeys. and they were produced until 2015 by an English company. They were 3D printed and you could design them. And then my other one would be, of course, the Hitty dolls. And they're obviously not made by a company, they're made by individual artists. So yeah, so my top four are Sasha, Shoanha, Makey and Hitty. Okay, number 5 is Wee Little Lad. What is the smallest doll in your collection? Now I had to think quite hard about this, and then I realised I had this tiny little baby with a beautifully knitted cardigan. Yeah, very small, as you can see, very tiny. Now I got this doll quite a number of years ago, and a lady who, I bought a doll's house. I bought a ready all set up beautiful doll's house, but I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't have anything to do to it, and in the end I sold it because I didn't really know what to do. So yeah, this is my little tiny teeny baby doll. And yeah, so that's my smallest doll. I guess she's probably about just over an inch long. I mean, look at that knitting, it's just exquisite. Amazing. And then number 6, Pinch Me. What's a doll you can't believe you own or never thought you'd ever own? And that would have to be my 1966-67 Frito Puddle-Eyed, no, Filtrum Sasha doll. And I was told she was a puddle-eyed by Brenda Walton, who used to be very involved. She was ran the Trendon Factory. I don't know if ran's quite the right word, but yeah. And this one is hand painted, we believe, by a girl called Katrina. And the original puddle eyes were more like this, but they now call some dolls from the early 70s puddle eye. But I've got this straight from Brenda, who was an expert on these dolls, and I never thought I'd ever own one of these. She had, as far as I'm aware, she just had one owner before I got her, and she's very special, and she's wearing a beautiful outfit, absolutely stunning outfit. The dress I won at the Sasha auction in 2013 in America, and the top was made by a very talented seamstress called Karen Wanaka, and she's well known in the Sasha world as well. So yeah, this doll, I never ever thought I'd own one of these. She's very special to me. She doesn't do anything, she just sits in a cabinet, I'm afraid, but her stringing is slightly loose now. She could probably do with restringing at some stage, but I don't want to touch her. So yeah, so that's my what doll did you believe you'd never ever own? Now before I move on to number 7, Red-Headed Leprechaun, I want to go back to Lucky and Blessed, which was number 1, because I forgot this doll. And this is my little button, or mushroom as I call her, although she's a toadstool. And I feel very lucky and blessed to have won this doll. She's a creation of Beth Ramsden. She's got a YouTube channel, she's got a website, and she's very talented. And I'm sure most of you know already anyway. And yeah, so I feel very lucky and blessed to have this beautiful little doll. And she's actually going to be featuring in a project I'm hoping to start in the next few weeks, which is to make her a toadstool house. So yeah, this is my little button, and I do feel very lucky to have her. I don't normally win anything, so to have won her is just really amazing, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with her. So yeah, that's little button. And right, moving on to, do you have any red-headed or fantasy dolls, or both in your collection? And as I mentioned before, I don't really have any fantasy dolls per se. However, I do have my Makey fairy doll that I made for a fairy challenge. So I guess you would call her a fantasy doll. Let's just move this up a bit so we can get a better view of her from above. And yeah, here she is. So she would definitely come under the lines of fantasy, and I believe she's sort of got reddish hair, so she fits in quite well. And then another doll I've got is my Daphne that I created. I designed her when you're able to design the 3D printed dolls. Stop it, Stanley. And I made her outfit, and she's part of my Scooby-Doo gang that I showed a while back. I think I can put the link up in the description box below, or I'll put it at the end of this video if I remember. Right, and then moving on to my red-headed dolls. I've just picked a selection here. I have quite a lot, and this is just a mere few of them. Most of my Sasha Sailor dolls, my Sasha and Gregor Sailor doll collection, of course, are all red-headed, and I have shown them before. So yeah, where to start? I'll start with my Waldorf doll. She was made by Natasha in New Zealand, and I got her when I was in New Zealand. I had a did I get this one when I was in New Zealand? No, I don't think I did. I think she sent this one to me. So she's a sweet little doll, and she's got a little teddy bear in her pocket. And Natasha makes amazing dolls. You can find her on YouTube, and not YouTube, on Instagram, and I will try and remember to link it to her in the description box as well. I ought to write these notes down so I remember to do these things. Then I've got my little oh gosh, what was she called? Can't remember. I'll have to add it onto the film. And yeah, she's really sweet. I really like her. She just stands with some of my eclectic group in what is now our dining room, but used to be my little study sewing room. And then we've got, this one's really orange hair, but I think she can come under the red hair category. She is my pale Arena, and she has certainly got orange hair. And she's a sweet girl. I went through a stage a couple of years ago, and I brought a few from Amazon. They were good prices. And then one of my favourites, which I actually made, is my Raggedy Ann type doll. She's definitely got red hair. And yeah, I really like her. I was so pleased with how she turned out. Her hair was hard work, but it was certainly worth it. Then of course we have got, let's move it up. We've got my beautiful Schildkröte doll, and she's very pretty. And we've got my very special Sage, who was very much a surprise birthday present sent by my son when he was away on the boats in America. Oops, I'm not even showing her. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? So yeah, I was got the surprise present. It didn't say who it was from or anything, so I had no idea until he got in touch and said, "Oh, did you get the doll?" I said, "Yes, she's absolutely wonderful," and I'm always keep her because she was so special and such a thoughtful present. And then lastly, I've got my Smart doll, who's also called Rose. Oh, let's see if I can tilt the camera so I can actually show it to you properly. There we go. So here's my Smart doll. I can never quite get the wig in the right place. I like these dolls, but the jury is still out with her. I don't know. I just always feel that, I guess because I'm used to dolls with slightly bigger heads, and I always feel like her head is too small for the rest of her body. Just doesn't seem to be quite the right proportions, but I'm sure it is. It's just the way I feel. So anyway, you probably should never put pink and red together, but that's what she's got on. So yeah, so they're my redheads, and as I say, I've got a lot of redheads. I've got my Sailor collection, who are all redheads, Sasha and Gregor dolls. I've got some Schoenhutz who are redheads. I've got Lewis, who's a boy. Yeah, I've got many, but I think that's probably enough for now because I think this video will be too long otherwise. So thank you for staying with me and watching this video, and I hope you all have a great day. Catch you another time. Bye.